All right, let's talk about something that so many of us feel but rarely talk about: imposter syndrome. You know that little voice in your head that says you're a fraud, that you don't really belong? It's a secret fear that even the most successful people deal with. And today, we're going to break it all down: what it is, why it happens, and most importantly, what we can do about it.
So let me just ask you straight up. Have you ever been sitting in a meeting or starting a new project and you just get this sinking feeling like any minute now they're all going to find out I have no idea what I'm doing? If that sounds familiar, well, trust me, you are in very good company. And get this quote, it's from Albert Einstein. The guy who basically reinvented physics felt like an involuntary swindler. That just goes to show you, this feeling has absolutely nothing to do with how capable or accomplished you actually are. And it's not just a science thing either. The incredible poet and Nobel laureate Maya Angelou, she felt this with every single one of her 11 books. Can you imagine? Each time she was convinced this would be the time everyone figured her out. And here's one more that just proves this feeling cuts across every field imaginable. Even Tom Hanks, one of the most successful and beloved actors out there, talks about that moment of thinking, how did I get here? It's just a powerful reminder that if you've ever felt this way, you're standing alongside giants. So that brings us to our first big takeaway. If you feel this, you are not alone. It's not some personal flaw. It's a really common shared experience, and just knowing that is the first step to dealing with it. So what are we really talking about here? Well, the official term, imposter syndrome, was first identified way back in 1978. It's basically this pattern where you doubt your own accomplishments and have this nagging fear that you're going to be exposed as a fraud, even when you have all the evidence of success right in front of you. And just how common is it? Well, some research estimate that a staggering 82% of people go through this at some point. 82%. Think about that. That means almost everyone you know has felt this way, or will feel this way at some point in their life. And I love this cartoon here because it just nails that internal monologue, right? Someone pays you a compliment, tells you did a great job, and your brain immediately starts searching for an excuse. Oh, they're just being nice. They have to say that. That inability to actually accept and internalize praise is a huge part of what keeps this feeling alive. So, what is actually going on inside our heads when this happens? Let's dive a little deeper into the psychology of it and unpack this whole cycle of doubt. This comic is just perfect. You've got the world's leading expert on imposter syndrome, and her first instinct is to downplay her expertise. And then she has that, oh, wait a minute moment. It's hilarious because it shows just how deep and automatic these thought patterns can be, even when you logically know better. Now, it's really important to draw a line between imposter syndrome and just general low self-esteem. They're not the same thing. With imposter syndrome, you're often a high achiever, you have success, but you feel like you faked your way there. Low self-esteem is more of a general negative feeling about yourself that might stop you from even trying in the first place. And this is the engine that keeps the whole thing running. It's called the imposter cycle. So it starts when you get a new task. Immediately, anxiety kicks in. You react in one of two ways. Either you procrastinate or you over-prepare like crazy. Either way, you get it done and you succeed. But here's the trap. You don't credit your own ability. You chalk it up to, oh, I just got lucky, or, well, I only succeeded because I worked 10 times harder than anyone else. And that dismissal just reinforces the belief that you're a fraud, setting you up to do the exact same thing next time. Now, it turns out this feeling isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. Researcher Dr. Valerie Young actually identified 5 different ways this can show up. As we go through them, see if any of these sound a little familiar. All right, let's break these down. First up, you've got the perfectionist. For them, a tiny mistake, like a typo in a report, feels like a catastrophic failure. Then there's the superhuman, who feels like they have to work harder than everybody else just to keep up. So taking a day off feels like a massive step back. Next is the natural genius, who believes that if they're really smart, things should come easily. So if they have to struggle to learn something, they feel like a failure. We also have the soloist, who thinks asking for help is a sign of weakness. They have to do everything themselves. And finally, there's the expert, who feels like they need to know every single thing about a subject before they can start, and they're terrified of being asked a question they can't answer. Knowing your type can really help you spot your triggers. Okay, so we've talked a lot about the problem. Let's shift gears and talk about the solution. What can we actually do about this? Well, there are some really effective strategies pulled right from therapy that can help us rewire that inner critic for good. This right here is the absolute core idea, and it comes from things like cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. It's the realization that your thoughts are not facts. That feeling of being a fraud, it's just a feeling and it's fueled by a thought. And the amazing thing is you have the power to challenge that thought.
So here's a simple 3-step playbook. Step 1, just notice the thought. Catch yourself in the act of saying, I just got lucky. Step 2, challenge it. Be a detective. Look for the actual evidence. What skills do you have? What did you accomplish? What feedback did you get? And step 3, reframe it. Based on the real evidence, create a new thought, like, I got this job because my skills and experience were a great fit. Okay, another really powerful tool in our arsenal is mindfulness. This is all about being present and aware of what's happening right now without judging it. And there's some really cool data that shows how it can be a direct antidote to these feelings. So a study recently looked at medical students, a group under a ton of pressure to perform. And they found that almost 40% of them were experiencing imposter syndrome.
But this is where it gets really powerful. The study found a direct link. As you can see on this chart, the students who practiced more mindfulness had way, way lower odds of feeling like imposters. It makes sense, right? Mindfulness teaches you to observe your thoughts without getting swept away by them, which is exactly how you break that cycle we talked about. And you know what else they found? It wasn't just about what was going on inside their heads. Things outside of school were a huge factor. Things like playing sports, joining a club, or doing something artistic. Just 1 hour a week of an extracurricular activity was linked to lower imposter feelings. Basically, having a life and an identity outside of your main thing is a massive protective shield.
All right, let's bring it all home. The goal here is to shift from feeling like you're constantly getting away with something to feeling truly empowered by the success you have absolutely earned.
So here's your game plan, starting today. First, talk about it. This feeling loves to live in the dark, so bring it into the light with someone you trust. Second, keep the receipts. Start a file, a brag file if you will, of every nice email, every piece of good feedback you get. Look at it when you're feeling down. Third, learn to take a compliment. Just practice saying thank you, with no buts or deflections. And finally, change your focus. Aim for progress, not perfection. Celebrate the small steps. So I'll just leave you with this to think about. What are the successes in your life that you've written off as just a fluke or sheer luck? And now, just imagine for a second, what could you do? What could you accomplish if you finally gave yourself permission to own them? That simple shift could honestly change everything.